We lose this history and context a lot of times, but like what we're doing right now was considered illegal for much of this country's history. Just gathering, black folks in the same room. After all, we're called the Gathering Spot, and could not gather for what felt like an eternity a couple of years ago. But the community stayed together and we made it possible, right? So today's panel and set of conversations about business are near and dear to me. 96% of our businesses don't employ a single person. Again, don't say that as a point of critique. I say it as a point of emphasis and something that we have to really work to rally again to solve. If we had more black-owned companies at scale able to employ people in our community, the impacts, this is what research is showing us, the impact we would be able to feel.
What were some things that you think you did right and that helped you to scale your business once it became more than just you or you and your initial partner?
As entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to do it all, and if we can't put our own hands on it, then, it's not gonna be what we want out there. And again, you really have to bring in people that can help, that are aligned with your vision to help take you to the next level.
I left my employer, and I'm a transparent person, y'all gonna see. I left my employer making somewhere in the 100,000s and literally maintained a relationship with them where I ended up doing what I was doing as an employee, as a contractor for 10X. Pivoting in a situation like that, keeping the relationships, even though I was leaving, but I can still have relationships with the other parties at the business who control these contractor relationships to make that work, and then hired people underneath me to do the work because I didn't want to do it anymore.
What are some types of capital that have been helpful for you or not helpful for you in your entrepreneurship journey?
You may write off everything your first year of your business, and then as you grow, you need to start paying Uncle Sam a little bit more money because the banks want to see that you're making money in order for them to give you money. And a lot of times our people, we don't have our paperwork in place. So therefore we can't get the loans that are out there, or we're not talking to the right people to get the grants and the government funding and things of that nature. We have to be in position to be vulnerable and to be able to make sure that we are set up in order to receive the funding to take us to the next level.
If you're starting a business, have your financial house in order from day one. As somebody who's just 3 years old, my business is just 3 years old, that's some of the advice I would have gave my younger self. Have that accounting on board day one, not when the contract money starts coming in. You need them there because you need to plan for that money. And that's a big piece of entrepreneurship that's not talked about enough, is you have to plan to make money. I know people think like, oh, I'm just gonna make a whole lot of money, but you need to plan for making all of that money. And not having that financial house in order, when you start your business, you can't just create a business account and go open, get a bank loan tomorrow. They 9 times out of 10 wants to see that business established for 2 years. So it may be in your best interest to have some accounts just aging.
So one of the things that I tell people early on in terms of getting investment is you gotta have your books in order, you need the right people, and you gotta have your legal house in order as well, because I'll pass on something where you don't own the formulas, you don't own the IP. What am I buying? Like, I'm buying you. I could just employ you. I don't need to buy that. That doesn't make sense. So understanding your finances is number one in that. The other thing that I think through often is deciding whether or not you're a small business or a startup. And how many people know the difference between small business and a startup? Yeah, so a small business is not necessarily meant to scale. It's meant to provide economic benefit for you, your family members. You transition it down, and 9 times out of 10, you're gonna take non-dilutive capital. You're not gonna take big investors. You're probably gonna take debt. You're probably gonna have bootstrapping, friends and family perhaps, but in a non-dilutive way. And you need to figure that out. If you are scaling, meaning you're a startup, then you start getting into like dilutive capital and investors' rights and understanding those types of agreements.
The Emerging 100, I haven't had an opportunity to say this publicly. To all the brothers that are a part of this organization, thank you for the work that you're doing. You could be doing anything. You could be anywhere with your time and talent, and you spend time bringing us together and engaging youth and everything that's going on around in our community. I personally appreciate it because, again, that's not the image. When people talk about us a lot of times, they don't think about this sort of work. So thank you to this organization for the work that you're doing. I'm proud to be able to say that we're hosting the event tonight. All right, see y'all later. Thank you.